What's up, everybody? You're listening to episode 14 of Just Breathing with Laud Lungs. I'm joined today by Brittany Letterman, and yeah, we're still in the midst of a election. We were talking about the election on the way here, and you were surprised to hear that Joe Biden was not yet the president of the United States.
Yeah, I was pretty sure that he was from what you see and read
everywhere. Yeah, it's a real controversial topic right now, because if you say Joe Biden's not the president yet, you'll get a lot of weird looks. You'll get a lot of kind of sideways glances, like, "Are you a conspiracy theorist?" You know,
that's what you would think.
Do you believe in QAnon? Or I might get banned for even mentioning it or something. But there's so much misinformation out there, and so much just weird stuff going on in terms of the way the media has sort of pushed this thing. Mm-hmm. I'm fine if Joe Biden becomes our president, but I'm not fine with people taking things into their own hands that aren't theirs to begin with. And with the elections, there's actual like processes that you have to go through before you become president-elect. And they basically just said, every so often they'll say presumed or projected president-elect. But for the most part, they just remove those words and they just say president-elect. And it's very confusing because
that's very confusing. I mean, how would I have known?
Well, that's the thing. And then you watch a YouTube video, and probably just from us talking about the election right now, it's not in my title, so maybe they'll miss us. But there's probably going to be like a
little thing at the bottom.
You know, just so you know, Joe Biden is the president-elect according to AP. Yeah. Which is a newspaper. Mm-hmm. You know, so it's just weird stuff like that. I don't like it. I don't like it. It gives me the heebie-jeebies whenever, like, it just feels too much like propaganda.
Wow.
I mean, talk about, all right, now maybe I am bordering on conspiracy theorist. I really don't get into any of these stuff. I'm not on any weird forums. I'm not on 4chan or anything like that. Please, no one worry. But I do see things like, we were questioning this the other day. All of those billboards.
Oh, yes, it's so weird.
So we live in Pennsylvania, in Berks County, and for some reason, right after the election, all of these billboards started popping up. There's no ad or information about who paid for these billboards, but it's just things like, it's just a fun picture, colorful picture, and it'll just be like, laugh more.
Inspire others.
Inspire others. Be silly. You know, just all of these weird things. And I don't know if it's just because 2020 is such a tense and emotionally heightened year.
But who would waste their money on that? I have never seen that before.
It's weird.
I have never, ever seen that before.
But, okay, so this is where it gets conspiracy theory-esque. I'm like, is this propaganda? Yeah. Are they just trying to make me, like, happy or think happy thoughts right now?
That's how I felt when I first saw it. I did not feel happy, actually, when I saw it. I was like, this is weird. I said, who is advertising and what are they advertising? I was like, get the point across. Yeah. And I was like, and then I saw more and I was like, oh my goodness, someone is wasting their money. And if they're not, then this is weird, and I don't like it. This is
weird. It really is weird.
It's very weird.
So, yeah. So, I don't know what to make of those, because I haven't seen one. My mind blanked for a second. Sorry. I haven't seen one with like a paid for by state.
No, none of them have that
funding or you know, whatever. Not that I've seen. So that was weird to me.
I was like thinking when I first saw them, I'm like, is it the Lamar? I think that's the name of the company of the signs.
That's a company.
And I was like, wouldn't they? Because I've seen them advertised before, and it says their name like really big.
Right.
And it's like buy, you know, or it doesn't say anything. It just like call us or something like that.
Right. Buy space for advertising.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I see stuff like that. And it just, instead of making me happy and making me want to be silly and want to inspire others.
Keep me in a trance world.
Well, that's the thing. I'm just like, you don't own me. You can't have me.
Place.
Yeah. No, just like the...
I don't want to know what's going on. Close my eyes, put my fingers in my ears.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people that do that, unfortunately. But, I mean, the America part of me is just like, no! Freedom! You know, I don't know. It bothers me. It bothers me.
I'll just find out that it's like just someone being
It's
kind.
Probably some good Samaritan, but it's like... It's not the right time.
Not the right time.
It is not the right time for that. Anyways, yeah, so we're in this weird spot where the election is not officially called because there's recounts. There's a full hand recount in Georgia right now. There's lawsuits in Pennsylvania, in Michigan, in Arizona, in Nevada. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And I'll be honest, I don't think Trump's going to be the president. I think the margins are too large that he would need to either disqualify ballots or whatever. Recounts would correct things that maybe were not regular in the election process. So I don't know.
I just wish that it would just be a little bit more honest.
Yeah, well, like we said in the last podcast, I don't think anything's going to change. But at the same time, I am not a fan of these people that refuse to allow it to happen or are trying to fight against. They're not refusing to allow it to happen, but they're trying to find some way that Trump is being evil in desiring to have these things happen.
Right. Like, it's kind of one of those things where if there is, like, no reason for those lawsuits, then that's fine, and we're going to find that out.
Exactly, and that's the thing.
And it's not going to change anything. It's just going to be, like, you know, dragging it out.
It does drag it out.
But then we'll know the truth, hopefully.
But I want...
You know.
But as an American citizen, I want to make sure whoever I voted for got the fair shake.
Well, yeah.
And I want to make sure that it was the will of the American people, because then...
That will give me a little bit more peace.
Exactly. Exactly. If the American people were like, no, this is our desire.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the majority.
Okay.
All right.
You know, I'm not a crazy person. I'm not going to, you know, rise up and burn down a building and loot a Nike store or something.
Goodness, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because I'm not stupid.
Yeah.
You know, and that's not a racial thing. That's not a don't care about people thing. That's just I'm not stupid. You know, but I want, like we said in the last podcast, I want integrity to reign in our election system, or we're just going to be like another country. You know, we have these very intricate, legally bound processes in place to prevent any fraudulent stuff, to prevent, you know, anything that looks amiss.
Right.
And if it does look amiss, boom, we can, you know, point it out and say, can you look at that?
Right.
Oh, it's fine? Oh, okay. Just making sure. You know, and that's what I want for this process. So I'm good with everything going on. I've waited this long. What's a few more days and weeks and months? I'll be here all year.
Yeah.
But that's where we're at right now. And it is a crazy time. It is a crazy time. There's people that are taking it in... I think, for the most part, I'm proud that out in the streets and people are taking it well right now. You know, you're not having any weird confrontations between Biden supporters and Trump supporters and things like that, which could happen.
Right.
You know,
I feel
most
like
certainly
most people, like, except on social media maybe sometimes, but most people are keeping it to themselves, really.
Right. Everything's being vented right now on social media. And I think there are small incidents, but nothing major. So
and I do have to be honest, I don't usually want to know what other people think. Like, only because, to be honest, like, I don't want to have, like, a different view of them. Like, I want to get to know them.
Yes.
For who they are and not what they think politically. Because I feel like that'll be in my head, and I don't want that. Yeah. So,
well, that's the problem.
So I don't tell people, and I don't ask them. I don't want to know.
Right. But
that might not be a good thing, but...
Yeah. That's the problem with social media right now, though, is that you don't have a choice. You go on there, and someone's expressing their political views. And you're just like, darn it.
I mean, I did that once, and then I was like, I probably won't do this again.
But you didn't even express your political views. You shared an article.
That's true. That's true.
See, but this is the issue. So a journalist writes an article, you share it, and then people start attacking you for your political stance.
Well, let's just make it clear. No one attacked me. They just weren't happy with the article. Like, they had their opinion about the article. Then no one attacked me. But I felt like it was like a tension sort of thing.
Right. But the problem is...
But if you put it up on social media, you're asking for that. So I'm not upset. Yeah. I was just kind of like, you know what, I probably won't do this again. And I'll just keep it to, like, the people I know, actually talking with them, because I know those people well enough that if they disagree with me, I can have a civil conversation.
Right.
But on social media, I feel like I can't do that, especially because, like, usually the people who respond, I'm not in, like, a close relationship with them. So, but... And I don't want to do it on an open platform where everyone can see. Like, I want to talk to that person. So, yeah. Anyway, I learned.
Yeah, I learned a long time ago that there was definitely times when I feel this urge to respond and, like, this need to come back with something, but it's never been effective. And the more that I've done that, the more that I've realized it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Like you said, you know, unless you're willing to go out of your way to call that person. Yeah. And you can call them on Facebook now. I think they have the calling services through Messenger and stuff.
I've done that before.
Yeah, call them up. Yeah. You know, and if you're not willing to do that, you probably shouldn't comment.
Right.
You probably shouldn't comment.
I think the interesting thing, this might be a little bit off topic, but, like... Because someone said something today that, like, I was like, okay. And I'm not a good debater because it takes me hours and sometimes days and sometimes weeks to process something. I'm a very slow processor. And, like, this person said something and I was like, that seems like a good point. And so then it's been in my head. And as I thought about it, I'm like, yes, I can see that point of view. Mm-hmm. And it does make sense, but if you continue to go down that thought process, it still doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, initially it makes sense, and then you keep going and you're like, yeah, but this would make more sense. Mm-hmm. And then as I thought about that, I was like, why didn't I say that? And then I thought to myself, it's because I wasn't that fast to think. Like, I had to process it because I actually want to know what that person thinks. Yeah. Like, I don't want to just disagree with them because I want to disagree. Like, I want to understand what they said. Yeah. And it takes me a long time to understand that before I can have an opinion. Anyway, that's off topic.
I don't think that's a bad thing, though.
No.
I mean, maybe you're not going to be up on a stage debating somebody.
Oh, no.
But at the same time, oh, man, I think it'd be real good if people took a day. You know, even just a day, an hour.
Yeah,
Give it an hour.
Yeah.
But people are so... I've seen people put something up that might be spicy or heated or whatever, and boom, the comments start pouring in. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I don't even think you read... Especially when it's like an article.
Oh, yeah, you didn't read the full thing.
It's like a 3-page article.
You read the title.
And you read the title, and you already started commenting. Your opinion is not valuable. You You know, in those instances, you have nothing to say or add to this conversation.
It's so true. Just today I watched this video, and it's just funny the things that go through my head, because it was political based, but mostly because of a certain policy that someone was pushing that I didn't agree with. But so I watched it, and then I liked it, and then I was like, oh crap, no, I don't want to like this. I unliked it because the title sounds like I agree with that policy, where the video was saying how why that's not a good idea. And then I was like, I don't know what to do. And so I liked it again because I'm like, yeah, people need to watch this. But anyway, yeah, it's true. The title throws you off sometimes. You gotta go and read it or watch the whole thing.
Clickbait's a real thing. Clickbait's a real thing. Yeah. No, and you do need to like it if you want somebody to watch it. That bumps it up in the algorithms, and I think I don't know. But I thought about it for a couple minutes, had to process it, and then I was like, I liked it again. Yeah, that's okay. I think that's okay. Yeah, but honestly, my focus is so far beyond this election already.
That's a good thing.
I don't want it to end prematurely. I want it to end well, and I want it to end with me being able to say our system is mostly integrous. Because it's not. I mean, even it was either today or yesterday. What would he be? The district attorney of Georgia. I believe it was the district attorney of Georgia came out and was like, hey, we're going to do this recount. I'm just letting you know now, we're going to find fraud. We're going to find, I don't even know all the election terms, miscounts and, improper ballots and backdated things. And he basically was saying, everything that we're being accused of is real. Now, it all depends on
would that happen maybe in every state if we took the time to really go through and...
Exactly. This exists across our country.
Yeah.
In every state, in every election. It's just a part of the process.
Yeah.
Things slip through.
Because,
it's
people
not
are people.
Well, and there's people involved. There are people counting these ballots.
Yeah.
Things slip through. I understand that. It's basically, are we going to find mass amounts of one or another issue? And that's what we really need to find out, and that way we can move past this. But I don't want to move past it prematurely. Like I said, I want to make sure that my vote mattered.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. People are so selfish, and I'm not saying that the selfishness doesn't exist on both sides. I think if roles were flipped, it would be a similar scenario. But let's step back and let's say, for our kids.
Yeah.
For our neighbors. If we're one country, if we believe in each other, I don't care who voted for who. I want to make sure every one of my neighbors' votes counted.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that, and you can't make sure they counted without making sure that illegal things didn't count.
Yeah.
Because it skews everything. It skews the election. So that's what I'm hoping for. Then we can breathe, move on.
Yeah.
And then get to more important things. And that's kind of what I wanted to focus on. I said this in the last podcast. I really want to focus on how do we start aiming towards unity in our country.
That's what I was thinking about. I think the one positive about all of this drawn out election stuff is I've been thinking about it a lot, and probably I've been thinking about it a lot, and I feel like because it's been drawn out and it wasn't just like a you find out that night thing, I was like, okay, because I care about this country more than I guess I realized I did, I want to be a part of like positive change.
Yeah.
And I've never kind of come to that conclusion as much as I did lately. Yeah. And I'm like, I want the next 4 years under whatever president, I want to be a part of the change, because we all know we can't depend on the government to be our salvation and change this country. And I was like, I want to be a part of it, and I want to see how I can do that. So that's been the positive about not knowing.
Yeah. I don't think everybody's thinking that. And I think it's going to take some people in day-to-day conversations with their friends and their coworkers and, people they gather at church with and whatever. I think it's going to take people saying, wouldn't it be great if we were united?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be great if we started caring for the fact that we're all Americans?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be great if if we got back to a place where...
That's why America is awesome.
Right.
Because so many different kinds of people and different opinions and different religions and different thoughts are all able to be in one place and be at peace.
Right.
And that is what makes it so awesome.
Yeah. And what's so sad is right now you make that statement, this is what America was supposed to be and what it has been. Despite our flaws, despite mistakes that we've made in the past, America has been that melting pot. That was the word that we used when the Italians were pouring in from Ellis Island and other immigrants were coming in from all over the world, Ireland and all of these different places. We were a melting pot. I mean, my mom's family all came from different parts of Italy. Mm-hmm. And what was so incredible about their story was some of it was sad because a lot of like first generation still spoke Italian, but then they didn't teach their children Italian because they're like, we're American.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's kind of a sad but also really cool thing where they're like, we're going to eat peanut butter now?
Right.
My mom grew up on like, grilled cheese, peanut butter,
your mom didn't
peanut butter
learn
and
all
jelly and all that type of stuff. She's an amazing cook.
She is.
So she still has that Italian in her, but she was of the generation after the generation that had already kind of put their Italian heritage behind and said, we are Italian and we'll still hold some of that culture, in our family. We'll still eat some of the food. We'll still pass down the recipes and things like that. But in our day-to-day lives, we want to be known as Americans.
Yeah.
We want to make sure we know the language well. We want to make sure we are in the professions that Americans are in. We want to make sure that, we are engaging in the American culture. We want to make sure all of these things that just bring all of these nationalities into this beautiful melting pot that is America. Mm-hmm. No other country has it. You go over to Europe, they've tried and failed in many ways in their integrations of all of these cultures. And back to when you were talking about how great it was that we were this melting pot, my first thought was the fact that we're pushing forth these narratives right now called identity politics.
Can you explain that?
So identity politics is basically, and it's something that you'll hear more of if Joe Biden is in office, just because it's something that's been pushed by a lot of Democratic leaders right now. And it's this idea that what matters first is your nationality. What matters first is your racial, your gender, your sexual orientation. Those identifying factors play into your sort of social hierarchy and social interaction in the culture. It's
I hate that so much. I can't even let you finish.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's so awful. Like I hate that. Yeah. Because we totally that is oppressive.
Yeah.
That is oppressive. Like, I don't want to be put into a group because of my race and my gender.
Well, you would say that because you're a white.
But I'm a woman. Doesn't that put me somewhere?
Yeah, you have that going for you,
But like, how awful is that we can't get to know a person for who they are?
Yeah.
And for who they are.
Yeah.
Why can't they climb up the ladder in America because they are strong-willed and talented? Which is very many people.
Yeah, you would say that as a white person. No,
it makes me so mad. So we are telling people that for whatever they are, they can only come to this far, or they should be this far and not higher or lower. Like, it gets me so angry. And I don't want, because like usually when people get angry, then you feel offended if you disagree. So I don't want to do that either, because that's how I get. When someone seems angry, then I'm like, oh, that person wouldn't like me. That's not true. I feel very passionate about that.
Yeah, and if you care for people.
I care about people. If you do agree with the identity politics, I guess it's called, like, then that's okay. I just disagree.
Right.
I disagree, and I want to know you. I want you to know me and not put me in a classification.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. That's just my opinion on that.
No, that's fine. I'm glad that you're passionate about it, because I've been kind of studying this and listening to a lot of lectures by different professors that have been sort of digging out this idea, kind of seeing where it's come from. Now, and this isn't a political statement, but identity politics is an integral part of Marxist ideology.
Okay.
And I'm not saying anything about communism. I'm not saying anything about any social political ideology of that nature. I'm saying this is where social scientists have determined that this ideological thing, I don't know what the better word is, idea, has come from. It stems from this ideology, because you need to pit different identities against one another in order to find out who the oppressor and who the oppressed is.
In Marxism.
In Marxism.
Okay.
And that's an integral part of Marxism. You have to have an oppressor and an oppressed class. And that's kind of what is being done. Now, the sad part is, and this is my biggest worry, and we don't have to stick on this too long, but my biggest worry is that we are being pitted against each other on a daily basis. And politics, because both sides are engaging in it so much, both sides are getting more and more divided and pitted against each other and hating each other, and it's only benefiting those in power. And it only ever benefits those in power, historically. Maybe we'll find a new way. Maybe this will work this time. But
But is it true?
Right. Yeah. Well, no, and I love history. So that's always where I go back to, and always where I try to pull examples from others that have gone before, that have walked these same paths prior to me. And when I study, 1917 and the rise of the Soviet Union, and I see the ways in which they began their revolution, it's very similar. A lot of the same ideologies were present. And it's not that far-fetched that this is happening now, because a lot of, I forget how many it is. I don't want to butcher the statistics, but there is a double-digit proportion of professors in our universities that declare themselves Marxists. Okay. Self-declared Marxists. And I see that all the time. I have friends that have been self-declared communists. Odd. But they really believe that if it was done correctly, we would have this utopian society. I'm willing to have those conversations with people, so that's why I don't want to stay on this too long. I'm glad that you were passionate about it, though, because it makes me feel good that you would have such an emotional response to that idea.
Yeah.
And that gives me hope because, I've been around it for so long and just sort of sat in it for so long that I don't really have that. That's what I was like initially. I'm like, this is terrible.
Yeah.
This is an awful idea.
Yeah.
It won't work. I've seen it not work before. Why would it work now? But at the same time, like you said, I don't want to ever turn anybody off from having that conversation.
Right.
So I'm being a little more lackadaisical with the way that I explain and kind of come at this ideology, because I want to make sure that if anybody wants to debate me on it, that's fine. I don't really want to argue with you. I'll debate you.
Right.
I'll bring you relevant information that hopefully helps you.
Right. Let's learn from each other.
I'm not going to argue with you, though.
Yeah.
And that's why I won't engage on social media, because this is an argument.
Yeah.
It's not a debate. You don't want. You only want to win.
Yeah.
You don't want me. See, this is the thing. Getting back to the unity thing, I want social media to be a place where when we comment on something, we are informing people in love so that they win.
Right.
Wouldn't it be great if everyone won more? If everyone became more informed? If everyone became more free?
Right. Not as an attack. Right.
If we're just like...
But as help.
Yeah. Now, some of it is going to have to come from the poster. The person doing the initial post that we're commenting on. They need to not start the post with, I hate all liberals. I hate these dumb redneck conservatives. I hate... There's no commenting on that.
You're not going to read that then on whatever side that they're talking against.
Right. These are not the people that I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people that maybe put up a yard sign.
Yeah.
But wouldn't ever engage in these types of fights and would be willing to hear you out if you came to them in love.
Yeah.
That's the kind of conversations and that's the kind of aim that I have right now within and looking past this election.
Yeah.
I want to see what ways I can start informing people and fostering this sort of, I guess this, I don't want to call it a movement. We have enough movements in our country, but just fostering this feeling of unity, fostering this idea that we should be more unified.
Yeah, fostering what I would like to do, and I'm not positive exactly how to do this, but is to foster unbiased thinking. I don't know how to word this.
Not gonna happen.
Like, well, yeah, I guess you can't help but be biased, but like, but real, like being able to think things through with the openness to learn. Does that make sense?
Like, no, it does make sense. I don't think
we're so fixed. We've decided not to change.
Yeah, but this is why I'm saying
let's take ourselves off of a certain identity, if you want to use that word, or a political identity. Like tear yourself from all of your identities that you feel unwilling to separate from, to formulate what you truly believe is best for you and your community.
Yeah.
And then fight for that.
And I don't even know if you necessarily need to tear yourself off from a political identity. I would rather that not define you in any way.
That's what I mean. Yeah, that's what I mean. I feel like it defines most people.
At the same time, it should be okay to be a Democrat. Well, it should be okay.
But is it okay
to be a Republican?
Is it okay to have a different opinion in that group than what the majority thinks? That's what I mean. Like, we're almost put into, if you say you're a Democrat or a Republican, you're put into a group of that person thinks that's it.
Yeah. No. There's definitely a lack of nuance within our current duopoly. Within our current two-party system, there's no room for middle ground in anything. And that is sad. I think it sort of resolves itself to a certain degree within government, because now you have these two opposing sides and they're kind of pulling back and forth. And that is the original idea. Mm-hmm. That is the gridlock. Well, I'm spitting. That is the gridlock that...
to help keep things balanced.
Yeah, our founding fathers intended. Mm-hmm. They wanted the process to be slow. You know, I said this, I think, in the last podcast. Slow is good.
Yeah.
Slow is good in government. Mm-hmm. We should have way more community-based programs to help people than ever relying on our government, because they should be slow. Mm-hmm. They should never be able to get it on time for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There should be community programs in place within the community that are ready to help people, that are ready to serve people and things like that. But no, I'm thinking just a little more, not abstractly or anything like that, but more, I don't think we should care about our political parties. So that's why I don't think people need to tear themselves away from that necessarily. I think just the way that we come at people needs to be for people. Mm. The way that we come with information, the way that we come at just really everything in our lives needs to be with the intention that it is for others. And maybe this is too much of a Christian concept that maybe it makes sense to me. You know, I mean, that's a fundamental part of Christianity is, you know, do unto others what you would have them to do unto you.
Right.
You know, golden rule, whatever you want to call it. But man, would that do miracles on social media.
Yeah.
You know, if we approach the way that we post with the intention of helping others through it.
Right. Not crushing them.
Not crushing or tearing someone down, or another side down, or another tribe down. But we came at it with, I think this is good information that could help somebody if they read it.
Right.
And we say that, you know, and then when we comment on something, say, hey man, I hope you're doing well in your life.
Yeah.
I don't really care that much about politics, but I just wanted to maybe share this article with you, or this video with you, or this debate with you. It really was informative to me. If it means something to you, great. If you don't want to watch it, great. Love you.
Right.
You know.
And having that same kind of response when you watch or read something that you disagree with.
Right.
Not just being like, well, thanks for sharing. I don't know. I was enlightened on one thing, but the rest I didn't really agree with.
Right.
That's it. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll share something with you that tells you why they believe what they believe, and then you can help understand them better and maybe change your mind a little bit.
Right. Yeah, I've gotten into some conversations with people where I'll bring it off, you know, off the public comments, and I'll direct message them and have a conversation on there. And you're gonna run into brick walls sometimes. Yeah. You're gonna smack your head against the wall and just be like, okay, this person's not even trying to hear my point.
Right, right.
Not even trying. And you just need to walk away from that. But for those that will engage, man, that's where we need to get to. And I think it might take a little more work, a little more self-control, a little more patience. Mm-hmm. But if we don't do something to start changing the narrative in our country, you know, we're going to be in a dark place.
Yeah.
We're going to be in a really dark, divided place.
I heard someone say something once. I'll try not to butcher it, but they said you can learn. I think they said something as simple as like you can learn something from anyone, from everyone.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking when I first heard them say that, I was like, that's not true. I was like thinking, I'm like, what do they mean by that? And like, now talk about me being a slow processor. This was a year or two ago, and I'm still thinking on it. But as I've been thinking on it, I'm like, you know what? That is very true. It doesn't mean that you might learn something positive from it, but you might learn like a lesson, or that's a consequence of that sort of thing, or whatever it is. You can learn something.
Yeah.
So like. And it was very humbling because I'm like, yeah, I can learn something from everyone.
We can learn stuff from our kids.
Oh yeah, I'm like
a lot of lessons. From
there's
our
kids. lot of things to learn.
Yeah.
From other people who have very differing opinions, from people who totally live differently than us.
That's fantastic. That's a fantastic mentality to go into life with. That. One, I don't have to agree with everybody. We have that notion right now where we'll defriend people or we'll unfollow people. And some people you have to do that with. Don't get me wrong. I've totally unfollowed a good portion of people on social media. Some of it is just because I'm not friends with them anymore.
Yeah.
So I don't really need to know where they're at in life or what their political leanings are, because I'm never going to see them and have a in-depth conversation about this stuff. But yeah, I mean, if we go into it with the mentality that, oh, this person was wrong in the past, I saw this post where they posted this thing that I disagreed with, so now everything that they post, I already know it's going to be wrong.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they changed.
Right.
Maybe they grew. Maybe they developed in life, like everyone is trying to.
Right. Yep.
And if we believe that, everyone's trying to better themselves, everyone is trying to develop, then we can give a lot of grace and a lot of, second chances for people and see what they're saying. Why are they saying it? What, man, if we cared enough for people to say, like, okay, why are they putting out this really hateful post right now? Is it something in their heart? Are they really dealing with something at home right now? I mean, this is the sucky part about all of these political fighting, this political division that we have right now, is that we're also in a pandemic. We're also in these forced lockdowns, which are stupid. And we're in these situations where people are losing their jobs, losing their businesses, committing suicide on a rate that we've never seen before. Domestic violence is up, child abuse is up. All of these things are happening right now. And you don't think that's going to influence somebody's social media post?
Yeah.
And we don't even come to social media with these thoughts in mind. We come with our own thoughts in mind. Are people saying what I want them to say today? Are people saying it like I want them to say it? All of this stuff. And if we could come and say, how can I serve someone today? How can I be informative with just what I'm learning?
Yeah.
How can I learn from someone else? I think that's an amazing couple of things that we can shift in our minds that could make a huge impact on our world. And we're talking a lot about social media because that's where most of the violent speech is right now. And I'm not a huge speech is violence person. You could curse me out and I would be like, okay.
Right.
It doesn't affect my life ultimately. But at the same time, we're in a heightened state where people will say things on social media that they would never say in real life. And we need to change that. We need to figure out things like this that are going to help change the narrative, change the way that we come at social media. If we're ever going to start putting a dent in all of this division that's in place right now. You know, something that, you know, we had talked about before with we had just finished a documentary. Was it last night?
It was just only last night, yeah.
Oh my gosh, this week.
Well, we started watching it like a week or so ago.
Right,
and stopped halfway through.
Yeah.
And then we finished it.
But still,
last night.
I have no idea what happened yesterday.
I know.
It's like, man, my mind is all over the place. But yeah, so we were watching this documentary called Bonhoeffer. And for those of you that are listening that don't know, I'll just give some context. So Dietrich Bonhoeffer was a German pastor, Christian pastor, theologian, and he kind of came into the pastorate right at the time that the Nazis and the Third Reich were coming into power in Germany. So he, long story short, he ended up joining the resistance that was in Germany, that actually served within, everybody served the Nazi Party at that time. So he was serving within the Nazi Party, but at the same time was part of a conspiratorial group that was trying to take out Hitler, and tried multiple times, failed. Crazy story. But he was kind of near the, when was this? It was near the end of World War II, or at least near the end of the fall of Germany. He was imprisoned, tortured, interrogated, all of these things, and ultimately he was executed for being a part of the resistance. But one of the things that really stood out to both of us, and I just wanted to bring this up on the podcast, was that this was he wrote a ton of letters when he was in prison to his family, and one of them contained this, I think it was to one of his former students. It was about basically his peace, and he was fully okay with everything that he did as a part of the resistance, because even though it might have gone against some of the Christian ideals,
he was a pacifist at one time.
Right, exactly. He was a pacifist. He didn't believe in fighting wars, but he believed that this Hitler guy was so evil, and because of the things that he was doing to the Jews especially, and to the rest of the German people, he had no choice but to join whoever was standing up against him.
Yeah.
That was,
and it wasn't even so much, this is what I thought was so powerful about it, is that so many times we would like to justify things by putting a label on someone, like Hitler, saying they're so evil, which he was pretty evil.
Yeah.
But what he was saying, Bonhoeffer was saying, he cared so much about the success and health of the future generations that he felt like it was necessary for Hitler to die. Yeah. Not just to
for him.
Let's have a reason to kill him. It was more like he's killing all of these people, like for the success of future generations and for their health. He felt like this was something that had to be done, and so he was willing to be a part of this resistance, which I am sure was a deep inside struggle coming from being a pacifist to getting yourself into the resistance. I just think it's so powerful.
And that's it. And that's it. The fact that he was not fighting for his own interests. He was fighting for his children and the children to come. You know, he was fighting for future generations. And
I think his quote even said something to the point of, I don't know how people will think of me, but I don't really care at this point.
Yeah.
And
yeah, he resolved to go through with this and whatever happened.
However history portrays him.
Right. It didn't really matter because he was confident in what he was doing was for the betterment of Germany.
Yeah.
You know, and for the German people, and for the Jews, and for those that he resisted for.
Yeah.
And he was, sadly, they were not successful, but at the same time, he has been an example for millions of people afterwards. So he was remembered in a very positive light, and his writings and his books are, you know, sold worldwide and have helped millions of people. So his legacy definitely lives on. If you want to watch that documentary, just so people know, I think it's on Amazon Prime for free. It's just called Bonhoeffer, and it's great.
Yeah, it's good.
But yeah, this is where I really want in the coming months our conversations to go is how do we dig this out? How do we dig this out in culture? How do we dig this out in our friendships? How do we dig this out on social media? How do we dig this out and really work out these methods? And I love what we talked about tonight. I just want to kind of, for my own sake, remember some of the three things that we talked about. You know, coming into every conversation with how can I help or be more informative to somebody? Mm-hmm. You know, not how can I attack them, not how can I
change their mind.
Yeah, change their mind. How can I just give them knowledge that I have gained? Mm-hmm. And then, you know, what were some of the other ones? The one that you said was, how can I learn from other people? Even if I disagree with them, maybe there's a lesson there. Mm-hmm. And if you see everybody as a learning opportunity, you can't immediately demonize them.
Mm-hmm. And it's easier to love them, too.
Yeah.
To understand them better.
Yeah. I think there was another one, but...
How to bring unity. That's what you were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, and that just sort of encompasses all of these things. I think all of these things will lead us to be a more unified country. Because we are one. We might have different opinions on how we can better our union, on how we can better our economy, on how we can better our government, but at the same time, we still belong to one country. And it's a great country. And we need to fight however we can. You know, these cultural, political battles, and change the narrative and change it to we are one, we are united. And I think at the core, we're good people. I think everyone is a good person because they're created in the image of God, in my belief, and yeah, that's the way I want to see this world. So, well, let's wrap it up here. All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening. I hope this was helpful. I hope this gets your mind going on how you can kind of change the way that you interact with those around you. So if you have any other thoughts, leave them in the comments. Make sure you subscribe if you're on YouTube or what is it called now? Apple Podcasts. It used to be iTunes. Now it's Apple Podcasts.
Oh, that's what it is now.
Yeah. So make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bells. That way you know whenever we go live or we put a new video up. So we'll catch you on the next video. All right, guys. Bye.